Good morning, welcome back to my channel. So I am in what used to be called Crystal Springs Campground along I-90 in the Stampede Pass area, which is just a little east of Snoqualmie Pass. What's interesting is that when you pull off the freeway, the signage points this direction, indicating that Crystal Springs is a campground, but the gate at the entrance is closed. There's no signage at the actual entrance indicating that there's a campground. And it looks like the campground has been closed and abandoned for probably 15 plus years. I camped back here in the mid to late 1990s, so let's switch the camera around and take a look. You can hear the background noise of the interstate, and I can actually see cars going by. But here's campsite number 5. Picnic table still exists. The fire pit still exists. Logs are all covered with moss and rotted out, which is normal for old campsites and campgrounds because they were built so long ago. But the parking area is full of a lot of debris. That's the interstate right there. When I first started dual sport motorcycling was when I rode here or camped here. I think it was probably 1995 or maybe 1996. Here's the concrete pieces of the picnic table. Fire pit's back there. Looks like another picnic table off in the distance. At least what remains of it. There's an outhouse over there. And another one. Pretty full of bugs and cobwebs and whatnot. And there's that other picnic table that I couldn't quite make out through the bushes. It's not a very big campground from what I remember. There's campsite number 4. And here's another campsite. I can't really make out the number on that one. Looks like another one over here. Picnic table, fire pit, and the remnants of another picnic table right there. It's sad to see these old campgrounds closed up and abandoned because there seems to be such a mad rush for people wanting to camp, and RV industry's going bananas building rigs, and it's tough to get out on a weekend and go camping unless somebody has reservations, and then to see campgrounds just closed up and abandoned doesn't really help the cause. Here's campsite number 11. This one's right up against the river. This is the Yakima River, which drains out of Ketchulus Lake. It's the lake that you can see along I-90 just east of Snoqualmie Pass. fire pit, another picnic table, and concrete slab. Who knows what that was for. Didn't really remember this camp loop going back so far. I thought it kind of just made a sort of a quick loop in and back out, but this goes back a ways. Looks like it's private property back here this far because I see a big canvas carport and some other stuff back there. I kind of suspected there might have been some private access back here based on the chains and the locks on the gate. It was a kind of a little combination lock, and that's not normal for a Forest Service style gate. I see two picnic tables here. One right there, and then over here we've got a fire pit and another picnic table. Let's walk over this way just a little bit. Yeah, here's another campsite. This is campsite number 12. So my guess is that this road loops around and comes out by that private property. Another campsite way back there. Picnic table right here. Yeah, this actually looks like it just dead ends here. Yeah, it does. And here's a water spigot, or what remains of one. I don't even see any remnants of plumbing left other than right here. No piping coming up out of the ground whatsoever. Yeah, that road may have went through. It's hard to tell. It's just super overgrown. Yeah, it does look like it kind of continues up the hill a little bit. Yeah, maybe I'll get adventuresome and go up there just a little ways. Yeah, it did actually. So there's another campsite off in the distance, picnic table back there. There's some signage, campsite number 16. Another picnic table there, and over here to the left we've got two. Those look to be in pretty good shape. A fire pit over here. Back this far, I-90 is a little bit further off in the distance. traffic isn't quite as loud. Well, part of that's because we're sitting down below the level of the road. I do still see cars going by. Here's another campsite. This is number 17. This appears to be where the road loops back around by the private property. A big old growth tree that's probably 5 feet in diameter. And the road definitely does loop around, and off to the side here it's posted no trespassing. Looks like some survey markers, ribbons hanging from the tree, and then that little yellow sign is probably a sign that says Forest Service property. And there's the remnants of another water faucet. Yeah, judging by the conditions of everything back here, I would say this has probably been closed 20 plus years. I think I'm okay to venture down this way based on what I'm seeing for the property borders and whatnot. Old travel trailer frame and running gear there. Yeah, there's the canvas style carport, and it kind of looks like a truck camper. And the back end of a box truck, maybe the actual box from a box truck. Can't really tell yet if it's an entire box truck or not. There's some sort of a vehicle covered up with a tarp. Looks like a Jeep. Yeah, basically kind of a little makeshift camping area. Yeah, that is a Jeep. And it does look like a box truck. Here's another campsite down in the shrubs and whatnot. It's really tough to make out the fire pit and the picnic table through the brush there. Picnic table's just to the left of that tree. Had I known this campground was actually closed down, I would have talked to the people, the ranger staff, Forest Service staff at Lake Cochise Campground where I was just stayed, because some of them may have known the status of this. But when I pulled off the freeway and saw that there was signage pointing to this campground and indicating how far down the road it was, and the fact that it indicated that it was still a campground, I just assumed it was still open. And now I'm headed back the direction I came in. This is the campsite that overlooks the river. prior to this trip out over here to this part of the state of Washington, I was doing some research to figure out if this campground still existed, and I couldn't find any reference to it on the recreation.gov reservation website, which is a common website that is used for a lot of Forest Service campgrounds. And I don't believe I found any reference to it on the Forest Service website. So I assumed it was gone. But then when I pulled off the exit to head to Lake Cochise and saw the signage, then that made me assume that it still did exist. I see a couple people walking up there. I'm gonna turn the camera off. So that's the direction I came in from, and people were just sort of exploring just like I was. They had a little dog, and they kind of came back and picked the dog up about the time that I shut the camera off. So this is a big picnic shelter, at least what remains of one. And then back there is a double-sized picnic table that's just about buried up to the benches in tree debris. Another old broken down wooden picnic table over there. That one's all wood. Neat old wood shelter. Somebody's carved their initials into it. 1968. So that puts the shelter at over 50 years old. Post completely rotted out down there at the bottom, so is the bottom log. This area gets pretty deep snowfall in the wintertime. Outside here, here's what remains of another water spigot. There's actually still some plumbing. Let's go take a look at that old wooden picnic table. I would bet this is well over 50 years old. Big lag screws that used to hold everything together. I'm heading back out to where the gate is. I think it was just that one time that I camped here. Must have been 1995. I started dual sport motorcycling in 1994. Memorial Day weekend was my first outing on that dual sport bike. It was a 1994 DR350. I rode that bike, I think, up through 2000, and then bought another DR350, and then rode that one up through 2006 when I bought a DRZ 400, which I still have. I'm pretty sure that best estimation anyway is that was 1995 that I camped here. I had a little S10 Blazer, two-door version, and a little 6x10 Wells cargo trailer that was sort of my poor man's camper. Instead of having to pitch a tent, I'd just throw a sleeping bag and an air mattress in that Wells cargo and use it as my little camping rig. Pack all my camping gear in it or the S10 Blazer, and then also haul the motorcycle in it. So here's the arrangement on the locks. See, this is set up so that multiple people can get into it. You've got a main Forest Service padlock that holds the chain to the gate. This lock, the silver one, isn't being used. Then you've got another lock down here. That one's actually stamped Forest Service. That gives somebody else the ability to get in here. Then the chain is split in the middle with this combination lock, which would apparently belong to the people that own that property back there. These two vertical posts and a big rock foundation is where the sign was that indicated that this was Crystal Springs Forest Service Campground. Big rock pedestal. It was pretty common for Forest Service signs at campgrounds and national forest areas to use that kind of a pedestal for their signs. This sign is at the eastbound exit at Stampede Pass. So this sign actually says that the campground is closed, Crystal Springs, and then the little closed sign is pretty much falling down. That was not the case the direction I came from. I was headed west on the other side of the interstate there. It seems odd that as many years as it appears that campground has been closed, that signage hasn't been just replaced, not even to point out that there was a campground there. Based on the condition, it's highly unlikely that that will ever be used as a campground again.